Hey, it's Louise Hvala and you are watching Gatehouse Insights. On today's episode, I'm joined by Demetrio Zema, who is the founder of Law Squared. Welcome to the show, Demetrio.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about Law Squared.
So Law Squared is a law firm founded by myself in March of 2016. It currently have 15 staff across Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane, focused on high growth entrepreneurs and businesses.
What made you start your own practice?
With me starting in practice, I was a commercial insurance litigator for 6-7 years and got to the point where I kind of appreciated that experience, but also that kind of came to a point where I was like, there are things that can be done better, and certainly a better experience for both lawyers and for clients alike, and didn't really see a legal solution for that. And so kind of got to a point in the career where I had made some money in a business venture that had gone well, and so I was able to kind of utilise that money and go, right, let's just create a new law firm.
What was it about the entrepreneurs that you thought, I'm going to model my whole business around this?
Yeah, I mean, working with entrepreneurs is fun, it's exciting. There's something new every day, and it's not the same monotonous type business transaction. People are doing some really cool things. There's a lot of money and investment, innovation, governments, VCs, overseas money. It's a really exciting space to be in, so we're going to be part of that. And so if we could build a firm around growing with entrepreneurs and they could grow with us, it's a really exciting opportunity.
Now, I know your office is laid out a little bit different than the typical law firm.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. So we work in co-working spaces in each of the 3 cities, and it's an open plan space, and in fact we all share quite a large area together. So on one very long desk we'll have probably 6 lawyers kind of working together in one kind of collaborative environment. So it can be distracting at times, of course, but it's also a really conducive environment for some great discussion. Yeah.
Do you let people, I suppose, is it all laptops?
Yeah.
Are people allowed out to go to cafes to work and things like that?
Yeah, people can work anywhere they like. I mean, I'm big on kind of creating a positive culture, so often encourage everybody to come in as much as possible. I mean, we kind of see pretty much every day everybody's in the office, but it means people can work from home or from a cafe, or if they're travelling, if people take leave and they want to work a couple of days while they're on leave, then it certainly gives them that flexibility to do so. You can work in a standing up area of a co-working space, you can work in our kind of private space of the area, and it really gives that flexibility.
Nice. It's good. I think it's the way it's going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you think the bigger firms will eventually go down that path?
I think the bigger firms, it depends. The bigger firms have a certain model that fit, it's a business model that works and has worked for them for a number of years, and there are certain clients that like that business model, and there are certainly many partners that like that business model. So whether it's conducive for change for some of those partners, I suppose that's a business decision for them. Certainly younger lawyers see that there is a much better way for kind of law firms to operate and for them to engage with their clients and with their colleagues. So really that is the opportunity for some of these bigger law firms to change. I mean, if you think of some other professional services like PwC, or if you think of banks like ANZ, or if you think of telecommunications like Telstra, they've all kind of completely changed their working ways. We see this hot desk environment or kind of open space environment, which is kind of removing barriers of offices and doors. And we've all heard the horrible story of a partner slamming a door or yelling or throwing something off a desk, and so breaking down some of these very old, I appreciate, barriers. I think it's a really positive environment to have an open space.
Speaking on culture and even leadership, what type of culture and I suppose what's your type of leadership style you have with your team? Yeah,
so I have quite an inclusive leadership style, if you like. Try and get everybody to have an opinion, at least for me it's really important that people have a buy-in in terms of kind of where the firm is going and what they want to achieve in it. This is their career as well, so whether they're kind of more junior lawyers or more senior lawyers that have come from other firms to us, it's really important that if we're going to be championing this change of new law and what that means, that everybody has a say in what that looks like, so they get an option in terms of the type of technology that we're able to work in. Some of the decisions around kind of opening offices in Brisbane, for example, which is quite a new initiative for us. It really allows people's buy-in in terms of our strategy and our long-term growth.
Now, this new law model, tell me about it, because I hear new law, big law.
Yeah.
There's so many words that get thrown about.
Yeah, I think it's when you look at traditional kind of law, if you like, which is kind of some of the basics around hierarchies, charging by time, kind of office space and less agility, more larger style law firms, if you like. But it can also be your smaller law firms that are kind of being run in a very similar way for a long time. If you think about probably the last 50, 60 years, law firms have evolved to what we now know as traditional law firms. Be that a good or bad thing, that's just what have been the factors that have made up what we call traditional or old law. If we look at new law, some of the main philosophies are around flexibility in terms of billing and financial incentives and how people are measured. Certainly less hierarchies and less structures. Empowering more junior lawyers to have kind of a say, and also kind of giving them more autonomy in terms of client-facing work. Leveraging technology is a big thing. So removing kind of, again, having a partner, a senior associate, a junior, paralegal, and an admin all working on something together, kind of removing some of those unnecessary layers in a transaction or any type of piece of work, and really leveraging technology. So for us, it's being a paperless office, for example. It is working entirely off laptops. It allows us to use different types of software and tools that you wouldn't necessarily be able to implement in a traditional firm. Be that a good or a bad thing. I mean, their institutions have been around for years, so implementing some of these newer technologies, even if they want to, can be quite burdensome and expensive and all those types of things. We're fortunate to start with a blank slate, and so we can kind of say, right, these are all the things that we like about what the kind of system has done, what the institution has always been, and so how can we implement some of those things and leverage all these new technologies that we have at our disposal to really create something different.
And for some of these older practitioners, they've been around for so long that they're so used to the old ways. So getting them to change, it's going to take a little bit of time, especially for the bigger firms and even the mid-tier.
And that's okay. I think there is a bit of a push at the moment, kind of like, well, law is going this way, everybody needs to jump on the bandwagon, and everybody needs to fear new law and kind of what that might look like. And I think it's a bit unnecessary. There is certainly a set client base that still wants that. If you look at our business model, for example, we only really target entrepreneurs and high growth businesses, and that's because they are what is attracted to our business model. It works, we work well with them, that's what they want. But if you think of some of your large ASX, multinational, cross-jurisdictional type businesses that want really big institutional law firms, well then they need to cater for that. If you think of some of your older school kind of directors or businessmen and women, they want a certain type of lawyer that is sitting in the suburbs, and so yes, there is a need for change in some of those ways, but there is still a need for some clients for what those traditional systems offer, if you like.
The way the media makes it out, sometimes it's like, old law is going to die, and I'm like,
it's going to evolve. I mean, law is an evolution. There's probably one industry that has been slow in terms of its evolution, and just like there are many firms like us, and certainly there's a lot more now than what there was 18 months ago when we started, it'll continue to change and evolve. And you see so many large law firms or top tier law firms that are now just working with new law players to kind of help kind of change their own business model, or at least have a different service offering, which I think is really important.
Society's changing, so
absolutely.
It's an interesting time. So
it is an interesting time, but it's not going to happen tomorrow. And lawyers aren't going to be replaced by robots.
No.
There is scope for lawyers to get different skills and kind of broaden their knowledge and both their commercial experience, their technology experience. Being able to understand code and what a blockchain technology might mean for lawyers in the future will change. But the notion, I think, that we're all replaced by lawyers all replaced by robots is a little far-fetched.
What are your views on the robots? I have my views, but what are yours?
I think legal tech is there to enhance lawyers and support lawyers in what their job is. It will replace some of that kind of more menial, routine task, but it's certainly not going to replace a client engagement. Not yet do we have the sophistication around AI or robots that can have a personal relationship. Businesses, for example, and we're in the space we're in, still want human kind of connection, interaction, and want to know that there is somebody there. Whether we use AI or legal tech to kind of help us do our job, it's a whole other discussion. But to say that a lawyer will be completely replaced, I think, it's a bit far-stretched at the moment.
You never know.
You never know, but I think in terms of where technology is, absolutely, it will change the way the industry works, it will change the way the lawyers operate, and will remove a lot of jobs. There's without a doubt about that. But will it completely replace a lawyer, I think, is a bit far-stretched.
Speaking on that topic, what do you see as the future of law? Where do you see it headed?
The future of law? It's changing, that's for sure. I think business is changing. So as a result of business is changing, then law needs to change. We still have some regulatory kind of slowness. We have some legislative slowness, which we'll need to catch up. But I think that's just government and regulation anyway. But I think from a law perspective, we see a lot of more alternative legal providers now. There's no longer, for the first time, I think, in forever that law firms have been around, you have a really interesting market shift between alternative legal providers that are not law firms. You have a whole bunch of legal tech that clearly say we are not a law firm, but they give businesses the tools that they need that primarily only lawyers could ever or did ever provide. It completely changes the game.
It's interesting.
It's really interesting, and that means for firms like us as well. We will have to continue to change and evolve. Whilst we offer a different service to your traditional law firms, again, there are non-law firm but legal solutions that kind of do what we do as well. So it'll change indeed.
You're quite entrepreneurial and quite active and always on the go. What drives you? What motivates you every day?
What drives me? I think changing the conversation that people are having around lawyers drives me. Providing a new experience for clients and also for lawyers drives me as well. Again, I was fortunate in terms of my own experience as a lawyer, but I knew that there were better experiences, and unfortunately I know of many stories of people who were lawyers who have left the legal profession because just for a whole raft of issues, kind of it wasn't for them. It was high pressure, a lot of demands, and again, being measured by money consistently, being measured by time, can take a big toll. We see a huge rise, unfortunately, in mental health and all those types of things. So what drives me is really about changing that conversation, being able to offer a solution, again, both to clients and lawyers, around there's a better way to practice law. And this is just one way. There are many others, but this is just one.
Why do your clients love you? Why do they keep coming back?
Good question. You have to ask them, but I think it's just kind of having that. I suppose my background as an entrepreneur helps. It gives me kind of a commercial experience that kind of maybe some lawyers haven't had. If you think of some even partners who have been working and advising on transactions forever and a day, fantastic, but some of them maybe haven't actually risked their own money, haven't had to go through the investment journey themselves, haven't had to deal with investors themselves, haven't lost money themselves. And I think, as an individual, I've kind of had to go through that at a really early age, and after a series of businesses and a lot of lessons, I then kind of bring a different perspective to that discussion. So I think that's one reason. And the other, I think, is we've just called it out in terms of what it is we do and how we do it and why we do it differently. And I'm saying that's the answer, but it just says that there is there's an alternative kind of method there, if you like, for engagement with lawyers, and we're just one of them. So I think that's what's happening.
Now, I know you're quite active on social and also attending heaps of events and doing conferences and things like that. People have this belief that, business development's not needed to be a lawyer. What are your views?
Business development, there are two sides of business development. One when you really mean it, one when you're just trying to get work. Part of my philosophy is that I really believe in the startup ecosystem, the entrepreneur ecosystem that we have here in Australia. And so before even running a law firm, I was quite active in terms of that space. And so being able to then translate that through to Law Squared shows there's a genuine interest in the ecosystem. We see many law firms who are in the ecosystem who are clearly there to get work. They are sponsoring, they're giving money, which is fantastic, but they're not offering value, they're not offering service. And so, it's clear in terms of what the motives are behind a firm being there. And that's not just law firms, that is a whole bunch of service providers. For us, it is really about commitment to supporting the ecosystem at a very early stage. If you think of Brisbane, for example, where we have an office, it is a very young entrepreneur ecosystem up there, and we are doing a whole bunch of seminars and workshops just to kind of educate and bring up that kind of level of understanding around legalities of starting a business and running a business and capital raising, etc. We're investing that time now because we genuinely want to make a difference. If that translates to work, fantastic. I think business development is important, but you need to have a genuine kind of interest in what it is you're doing, and there can't be a clear motive behind just getting work. Which I've been pitched to myself at some events, somebody who didn't know that I was a lawyer. That's a whole other story, but it's really interesting to kind of what that engagement was like. And
so were they a lawyer?
They were a lawyer, they were a lawyer, and they were pitching
trying to
me. They were pitching to me because they just assumed that I was at a startup event that I was.
Okay, how did it go? Tell me.
So this gentleman said, I'm X from XYZ. Like, great to meet you. He was like, we are a IP firm. We work in this area, and we now have. It was just a really monotonous and just like monotone discussion. So it wasn't, hi, how you going? What are you up to? What have you been working on, etc. It was a, hi, my name's X. I'm from Y. We are an IP firm. We are now expanding into commercial. We have a startup advice offering pack. We charge X amount of dollars. And we'd be happy to have a discussion with you. Literally all within the space of 30 seconds of meeting this guy. And I was like, I'm a lawyer. And he was like, oh, okay. And then just walked off. It's a really bizarre experience. But, you can imagine there was a couple of thousand people at this event, and he would have no doubt done that. And he was probably on an assignment to kind of go and get some more work, but there was a very clear, disingenuous, unfortunately, approach to kind of why he was there. And I think that's disappointing. And again, it's not just in law firms, a whole bunch of different service providers which aren't really investing in this space, but are slowly realising that there's a whole lot of investment, a whole lot of interest, both from government, external providers, international markets who are interested in what Australian businesses are doing, yet not taking a genuine approach to kind of enhancing and growing those businesses.
Yeah. Now, I didn't ask you, but what got you into law?
What got me into law? Well, I always wanted to be a diplomat.
Okay.
Didn't want to be a lawyer. And so when I finished high school, I applied for a Bachelor of International Relations degree, and I was like, right, that's what I'm going to do. And then after a bit of a discussion, my parents and others were like, maybe you should kind of do law as well, kind of makes sense to do the two together, and then just see what happens, just in case you don't get into, DFAT and get to become the diplomat that you think you're going to become, which is probably wise advice. And so I finished both law and international relations at La Trobe Uni, and then after that, I went and did an internship with the Australian Embassy in Rome at the Holy See, and did that for some months, and then came back to Australia, and I was like, right, kind of got my experience, and now I'm sorted, and started Leo Cussin, and I was like, well, I'll do Leo's, at least get myself to a position where I can get admitted and apply for a DFAT program at the same time. Went through the DFAT kind of application process and didn't make it, and was so disheartened that I didn't apply again. And so finished Leo's and was fortunate enough to land my first job as an insurance litigator, and just kept going.
Yeah. What are your future dreams and plans for law and Law Squared?
Yeah, wow, for Law Squared, it's been 18 months. We have a team of 15 across Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane. It's certainly grown exponentially and far beyond what I expected to. We've had some fantastic recognition, both from within law and outside of law, about what it is that we're doing. So I really just want to keep growing that. And I don't mean grow by numbers, but just kind of grow in presence. And if we're able to kind of have a really positive impact on clients and lawyers, then we don't need to have a firm of 50, 100 people. It can be a small law firm that has a really strong impact and be seen as a clear market leader in terms of both vision of what we're trying to achieve and have a clear understanding in terms of the clients that we're working with, rather than just trying to say, oh, well, we've been successful in working with entrepreneurs and high growth business and commercial, then why don't we do family or, wills and estates or whatever it might be. That's certainly not what we're about. So, my vision is just keep championing that and kind of continue to be, I hope, a leader in terms of the new law space and saying this is what it looks like as an alternative. Yeah.
Awesome. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm excited to see the next 18 months for you and Law Squared.
Yeah, appreciate your support.
No worries. Thanks for being here.
Cheers, thank you.
Thanks. Now, Demetrio and I would love to hear from you. What is the biggest insight you're taking away from today's conversation? Comment and share below and let us know. If you like this episode, please subscribe to our channels and share this video with your friends. And thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time on Gatehouse Insights.